William, thank you. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Fellow Kenyans, let me begin by saying that it gives me great pleasure to join Kenyans and people of faith at this interreligious prayer meeting. It is a critical opportunity for our nation to consider the many things we take for granted in our daily life, especially on matters of faith. This indeed is a moment to pause and for all of us to reflect. Kenya is home to millions of people of different walks of life. They all share the country's promise, struggles, opportunities, setbacks, hopes, and fear. The diversity of our society provides us with different ways of understanding the context of various events. But it also leads us to the inevitable, unified moral truths. Faith unites and unifies our value system, making ultimate sense of humanity's quest for redemption and fulfillment. The journey to righteousness is inseparable from the quest for truth. And it is this, that fulfillment, the true fulfillment, can only be achieved through the unwavering commitment to values. All religions teach us this. Every creed in our society applies integrity as a measure of righteousness. There is no faith that espouses vice or corruption as the path to success or happiness. Faith is therefore the language by which humanity articulates eternal truths. The prism of cultural experience lends religious their diversity. But it is like saying the one thing in 100 different languages. That is why in Kenya, faith unifies us. We celebrate the God of all creation through the eyes of many different religions. We recognize the Almighty God, our Creator, to represent the many paths our faith leads us through. In so doing, we have been mightily rewarded as a nation. The fruit of national unity alone is testimony that faith is intended by God as the principal engine of solidarity. We have dozens of ethnic and racial communities amongst us. Through shared struggle and success, we have come to learn that each of us represents a unique means of pursuing a unified national enterprise. In so doing, tolerance and mutual understanding has become the cement holding us together through the years. I reflect on this not as a homily, but to testify that as president, the struggles we have faced as a nation required the solidarity, endurance, and sacrifice ordained by each of our faiths to succeed. Every time we have united, we have succeeded. In the struggle for independence, our solidarity won the day. In our quest to consolidate our statehood through constitutional order, national unity bore fruit. Throughout our history, attempts have been made to divide the people of Kenya on religious lines. But it has never been in our moral constitution to nurse an intolerant disposition, a hateful instinct, or a divisive impulse. This conscious drift away from extremism and exclusion and towards acceptance and understanding is key to our national strength. Many nations have been riven tragically by the excruciating sword of religious intolerance. Communities have been sundered through hatred and suspicion caused by misunderstandings of their own and each other's faiths. We have held together and shared our struggles and successes despite the many temptations and provocations by the agents of discord. Religious extremism and misrepresentation of other cultures have featured in global discourse from time to time. We have been attacked by terrorists who cannot stand our way of life as a united society. As a country, we have always found it easier staying together than giving way to fractures. Not just easier, but unavoidable. This has been our power and reward. Faith teaches us tolerance and unity. In turn, solidarity and mutual understanding increases our chances of success as individuals as well as communities. That is why we embrace the spirit of pulling together and coming together whenever we are collectively in need. This is a manifestation of love and trust. Without exception, all our religions teach us these things. Every faith instructs us to embrace love, charity, trust, as well as courage, unity, and mutual consideration as individuals and communities. As a country, our national anthem and constitution enunciate these articles of faith. The Constitution does not elevate one faith over another. Neither does it institute a national religion. It creates the space for all people of faith to celebrate their uniqueness and diversity in a manner that fosters national values. As long as we remain a republic of people of values, surely we must be a republic for people of faith, all faiths. We are healing from a wound inflicted by a hand of fiery intolerance and hatred. The agents of evil perpetrated terrorism in the name of religion. They hope to destroy our society and divide its people along religious lines. But we fought back as one people and continue to nurse our grievous wound together. We will heal each other's wounds and we will defend our nation together. As one national family, we recognize with one mind the distinction between terrorism and Islam. One is a depraved quest for anarchy and murder, while the other is a way of life comprising pure love. Together, we will build a prosperous, stable nation of many peoples unified in their quest for happiness. That is how we did it, and that is because we are who we are. There will always be attempts to destroy our national fabric and subvert our sovereignty. Our enemies come in many guises, using religion and other national interests as pretexts to undermine us. Just as they will use religion to bring about division, trade to pursue theft, and charity to entrench exploitation, they will also use justice to perpetrate hideous subterfuges. We know them. However hard they endeavor, they disguise their intention. We can always tell. We have resisted them before, and we shall resist them now. Just as we have succeeded before, we shall succeed again. This nation is ordained by God to be our home, and it is destined for greatness. We must love, defend, and work for it with all our hearts, And the best way to defend Kenya is by staying united and remaining faithful to our values. We must practice the teachings of God and commit ourselves to brotherhood and communion. Let us not forget to always give thanks for all we have and for all we have overcome. We must pray for each other and for our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by saying that I want to thank our religious leaders for bringing us together today and reminding us of our nationhood. I would also like to thank all leaders of this country who came out and stood together during a difficult and trying time and exuded faith and confidence in our oneness to the people of this great republic. I also want to thank all volunteer agencies, our armed forces, our police, all individuals who went out of their way to do service for their nation. We thank you. We thank all nations who stood by us and also offered support of various kinds. To them we also thank you for your solidarity. We are grateful. I want to conclude by just saying two things. One, as the Deputy President was saying, these murderers who came to commit their cowardly act here in Kenya claim that they are there because Kenya is in Somalia. Let me remind them and the world of one thing. For over 20 years, as Somali fought Somali, all that Kenya did was to offer refuge to their citizens who had to flee their war-torn nation. To date, Kenya holds and has the biggest refugee camp in the world, hosting Somalis who have fled their own nation. Let me remind them that it is they who, having had enough of killing themselves in their own country, decided to come and interfere in Kenya. Kidnapping people, taking hostages in Kenya. We did not go there. They came here. And maybe they had a feeling and a thought that because Kenya was a peaceful, civilized society, that we would stand by. We went there to help them bring order in their own nation. And I want to be categorically clear. We will stay there until they bring order in their nation. We will not be intimidated. We will not be cowed. If their desire is for Kenya to pull out of Somalia, my friends, all they need to do is what they should have done 20 years ago, which is put their house in order, and Kenya will come back to Kenya. Let me also say that as much as I thank everybody for the contributions they have made during that difficult time, we will also be putting in place a commission of inquiry to establish if we could have done things better going forward, to see where there were lapses and to see how we can strengthen those lapses. But even as we do so, I wish to remind every single one of us that whereas security is the principal role of any government, and we accept that responsibility as a government, let us also be clear that security is also the responsibility of every single individual citizen. As we have been told today, we must be our own brother's keeper. We must be vigilant wherever we are. We cannot just depend that the security forces will be in every single place at the same time. It's not humanly possible. But yet you citizens know your neighbor. You know the strangers who walk amongst you. You know the individual who should not be where they are at a moment in time. Let us work together as a society to bring these people out before they do more harm to our people. Let us work together as a society to ensure that we are all vigilant. And taking the words again from today's religious meeting, please let us be, each one of us, our brother's keeper. And I'm sure with that we will succeed, we will overcome, and we will be rid of these evildoers amongst us. May God bless you, and may God bless Kenya. Thank you very much.
We may be seated.